Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 10. Yes, you heard that correctly. Week 10 of our leadership and what is this class called again? Leadership in Educational Technology and Instructional Design. That's what it is. It's the leadership class. That's all I call it. I'm happy to have you folks here. We've got 16 so far, and I will do my best to let folks in as we go. Let me share my screen. And we will discuss this week. And as I was preparing and reviewing for today, it is a meaty week. There's a lot of good things to chew on this week. So let's see, I need to bring up my participant list. Participants, and I'll put that over here so I can hopefully keep track of folks coming in. All right, so week 10. First of all, a nice quote from John Hattie. And folks, every student deserves a great teacher, not by chance, but by design. And I don't think we could agree with that more. And I think a lot of teachers are in the mode of designing a lot of instruction now because we don't know for sure what's going to happen. We're all going to be going back in person and we're all going to be wearing masks. Don't know if y'all heard the announcement or the proclamation from the governor today, but every person in K-12 students and everybody else are going to be required to wear masks when we go back. In a few short weeks, unfortunately, I have one of my districts, Iron District, is starting school with students on August 11th. And I think that is the earliest that I ever remember. Washington County always starts early, but they're 2 days later than Iron this year. So we're getting ready for kids to come back to school, and we're planning courses in Canvas and Google Classroom, and teachers are doing a lot of design, a lot of thinking about making a great blended environment for students. And about a year ago, in fact, if COVID wouldn't have happened, most of us would have been at the Rural Schools Conference today. Last year, we were scheduled to have John Hattie and some other folks from his organization come and speak with us. Last minute, he couldn't make it. So I'm sure this is why this next slide got added last year by Brandon and some others. And I'm not as up on the Hattie stuff as he is, so I'm gonna let him share what this is telling us and more about designing good instruction for our students.
All right, so for a couple minutes here, talk about Hattie and his research on visible learning. He took a meta-analysis, you can see on the side, 95,000 studies, over 3 million students, and he found what works best in education. And he has this barometer, this scale here, and on the scale it's negative 0.2 all the way to 1.2. And the 0.4 is the hinge point. So those influences or factors, which we'll look at in just a second, that are 0.4 or greater on the scale. So in the blue, that is what you want. That is where learning happens. Anything that is further back on the scale, 0.4 or lower, not so much learning takes place. And
rather than by design.
Yes. The designing, so the intentional designing and planning of your teaching, of your lessons, that is where you get those higher numbers, those 0.4 and above. Those things by chance, these things that just happen, life circumstances, those are the things that are on the left side of the barometer there. Glenn, if you can click on the 250 link on the bottom right there. So here's his 250 influences which he found that impacts learning for better or worse. And there's a link there. You can go through and look at all of this, but you can see what students know and don't know, and how the teachers teaching, the lesson planning, the home life, everything about it. Remember that 0.4 or greater is what you want. So anything that's 0.4, 5, 6, 7, those are having a great influence on student learning. It's really impacting the student. Anything that's 0.3, 2, 1, there's even some negative things you see there, like moving between schools, corporal punishment at home, those type of things negatively affect student outcomes.
TV, what?
Learning. What? Come on, TV's good.
Mm,
I found it there's another chart that I had, I'll link it in the slide, this other chart that I found, that it talked about technology on virtual learning. And that number, actually find that number really quick, was actually like a point, 0.08. So it's way low on what you can do on technology and distant learning, 0.01, the influence that technology and distant education has. And I thought that's very fascinating, taking our current status in life right now and in teaching, that influence of student outcomes and learning is very low. So it's a lot of designing that has to take place on our side as educators to really make learning happen, especially in the virtual setting. So I'll link this other chart on the slide, but take your time and all your free time you have between now and never to go over Hattie. There's another link there that you want to learn more about Hattie and its research and what is visible learning, but it's really fascinating, some good stuff there.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. Anyone have any comments or observations or anything on Hattie, if you've had success with focusing on those higher areas? Anything in the chat, Danny? All right. Hearing none. Let's take a look at week 10. So the reading for this week is chapter 9. I'm sure it's great. I read it a while ago and my book's at the office, so I wasn't able to re-review it, but that's good stuff in there. Your assignment this week, excuse me, no more than 3-page, double-spaced letter to your superintendent, and we'll talk more about that in detail. And instructors, I had a little conversation with Jared. I updated the assignment a little bit in the wording, just a touch, because it was referring back to getting folks going on the digital teaching and learning grant, which was 4 years ago. So we'll discuss that. And then your discussion post, I think the topic for this week is a fascinating one and should be, I'm excited to hear what you guys have to think about it. Your initial post due by Sunday, and at least two other comments to other folks in your section by Wednesday night. Again, week 9, what the future holds. We're looking forward this week. You guys did a great job with your gear papers. I just graded the one on budgeting and finances and things like that, and the folks in my section did a really good job with that. Interesting stuff to look at. But now we're kind of looking to the future and trying to predict and like the Wayne Gretzky quote, we're trying to skate where the puck's going to be. So try to figure out where that's going. And again, your assignment this week is a memo to the superintendent. Let's talk about that. So we'd like you to talk to no more than 4 of your peers regarding how they've been doing with classroom technology integration. And again, I'm sure you've been already talking with a lot of folks already about how the closing of school went in the fall or in the spring, and how your district is preparing for students to come back in the fall. But talk to those folks and ask them how they're doing, successes, failures, struggles, things like that. Analyze that feedback and then create a memo to your district superintendent, basically a letter to encourage their support for students engaging instruction to support improved student technology learning. And then any ideas or suggestions from your interviews that will help teachers continue to improve technology integration into their curriculum to support the digital teaching and learning initiative in Utah. So anything you can, what helps you think you could come up with, how you could be, how the district could be doing better as far as, giving you time or space or resources or tools to get ready for that digital teaching and learning that we're probably going to be doing in the fall. hopefully not exclusively, but we probably will see some sort of blended environments. I kind of read the Iron Plan today, at least their broad strokes. They're trying to figure out their return to school plan. And the superintendent mentioned that, there's Jared, that some kids thrived really well in that online environment. And if parents want to be able to offer that for their kids, that's going to be available. Some kids really struggled and just kind of shut down when we went to online. And so we hope to be able to service those kids better in the fall as well. So we're going to be flexible, and, you know, school's going to look different. And so how can we best prepare for that? You don't actually have to send it to your superintendent. You're welcome to, but that's not part of the assignment. We want you to just draft that letter and share that for the assignment. But if it's something, you know, that you really think your superintendent could benefit from or would be open to hearing from you about, then by all means, go ahead and share it with them. Questions or comments on the superintendent memo?
Sydney has a question about where to look for research on up-to-date information about technology in classrooms.
That's where the interview is going to come. I would just, this is about boots on the ground, what's going on in your schools right now. So talk to, you know, the folks you teach with, your principal, if you can, you know, just some co-teachers, you know, if not in your school, at least in your district, and get their feedback and use that, I would say. Any other suggestions?
ISTE be a great resource.
Good resources there, yeah. And there's a link to the coaching standards in the discussion for week 11 for ISTE. So if you wanted to kind of scooch ahead and look at that and maybe look for the standards for teachers and for students, that might be a good place to look as well. Anything else? Okay. Anyone want to open their mic and ask a question? Are we good? Okay. Love this. So this is kind of prepping you for the discussion this week. We're currently preparing students for jobs that don't exist yet, using technologies that haven't been invented or to solve problems we don't even know are problems yet. That was many years ago, and I don't know how many years ago, but from Richard Riley, who was the Secretary of Education under President Clinton. But we are, you know, again, trying to send the puck where our students are going to be. And so how do we prepare kids for that future? How do we get them to be creative, critical thinking, problem solvers, you know, and just, if we're just teaching them content, we're really not doing our jobs. We're preparing them for the future, because what we're, you know, a lot of folks that are, like when I started this job, and it was 14 years ago as of August 1st, I was knee deep in Dreamweaver, making websites, and, you know, God, what else were we teaching? But nowhere near where we are today. So we've got to prepare our kids for those futures. And I love this title here, Imagineer. Anyone know where that comes from? Or what the job title, where you would work if you are an Imagineer?
That Disneyland?
That would be Disneyland, yeah. And so those are folks that have been, you know, creating novel solutions to problems and ways, and in an engaging way for 50, 60 years. If you do have access to Disney Plus, there's a great little documentary series on the Imagineers and what they do at Disney. It's fun to see. And I've linked these in the discussion, this research from the Institute for the Future, and this ISTE article on preparing students for jobs that don't exist, and the other one, that's in the discussion. But just, we need to think about, these are some questions that we pose in the discussion. Please don't address every single one of them. Pick one that you want to focus on or discuss, and, you know, read through the book. The chapter has some good information on these questions, as well as those articles that we shared. Those are repeated in the discussion, so I won't read them all to you. But just focus on one of these questions and how, you know, what can we do to best prepare our students for a future that doesn't exist yet. So questions on that? Saw a couple things pop up in the chat. We're good? All right. Any other questions on the week? Like I said, it's a good time to think and ponder and look to the future and see what we can best do to, how we can meet our students there.
I don't have a question, Clint, but I did want to bring up the option to present at the UEN's virtual conference again. So just so you guys all know, tomorrow is the last day to submit your presentation proposal if you would like to present at UEN's virtual Reimagine Learning Conference. If you do that, let us know, because we're happy to let that count for one of your assignments for the, is it the tech presentation or tech training assignment? So this is it will be a 30-minute session on Zoom or Google Meet. And yep, bit.ly/UEN present to do that. And the conference is on July 29th. And we'd also love to see you at the conference, even if you're not going to present.
And a couple of points. Iron County, I know, has a training that day. If you want to present, you're submitting a recording, 30-minute recording on what you want to present. So it's not going to be live interactive. So if you have other plans that day, still feel free to present, because you can get it ready to submit beforehand. So thank you, Danny. Any other questions? Comments, stories, anecdotes?
We've had a few people express interest in doing that presentation, so that's exciting. Thanks, you guys.
Okay, and sad, but shed no tears. This is our last week live together, and if this is your last course in the series of the core courses, then congratulations, you've almost made it. I will be posting an overview of weeks 11 and 12 early next week. I don't know if I'll be as early as Carol was, but I'll do my best to get that overview going. With that, though, we're not going to have that chance to get together and have you guys not answer any, or ask any questions when we ask. If you have any. That was a joke. But if you do have questions, comments, whatever, be sure to reach out to your instructor for the next upcoming weeks. And we are all done on July 29th. That is the due date, the final date to turn anything in for these courses, for this course. And we hope that you don't make us bug you too much about getting everything turned in. So far, everything's been looking great in my section. The discussions have been excellent. Your papers have been good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with for the next couple of weeks. Anything else? Okay. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun meeting with you guys. Thanks for seeing me through the COVID. I wish you all the best of luck in the weeks and months to come. Stay safe, wear your mask, and be well.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Clint.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Let's stop recording. Stop recording.